Hello friends, thank you for watching this video. I am Mohamad and today we're going to be discussing how we can integrate our .NET application with OpenAI. We're going to be utilizing two main functionalities that OpenAI provide, which is going to be completion and chat functionality. The completion is basically we're going to be sending it a sentence and we're going to be receiving the completion of that sentence. As for the chat functionality, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a context for our AI and we're going to be asking the AI questions and we're going to be receiving responses based on the context that we have set. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. It will really help the channel. As well, if you'd like to support me, please consider supporting me on Patreon or buying me a coffee. Now with that said, grab your cup of coffee and let's get started. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to basically create our application and install some NuGet packages. So let's get started. So first things first, inside my terminal, let me navigate to where I want to create my application. And here I'm going to create, say, .NET, new web API, and let's call this a, say, AI, or say OpenAI app. Perfect. Now let's navigate to this, and let's open in Visual Studio Code. Okay, perfect. So now that our application is open in Visual Studio Code, what I want to do is I want to open a terminal, and inside my terminal here I want to install some NuGet packages. So if we take a look right now at our OpenAI app.cs project, we can see we only have two packages. The one we want to install at this moment, it's going to be the OpenAI NuGet package, and this OpenAI NuGet package will allow us to basically directly connect with our OpenAI endpoints. So inside our API endpoint, or basically inside our project, we're gonna put .NET add package OpenAI, and we can see it has been installed successfully. Let me go to my web browser right now. And if we take a look at this AI package that we have just installed, we can see that it's basically an SDK that allows us to access OpenAI GPT-3, as well as ChatGPT, as well as DALL-E 2. And basically all of these will be available for us to utilize, and there's a lot of good instruction of how we can actually start utilizing it. In today's video, we're going to be basically going through this process, installing it, configuring it, and then we're going to be seeing how we can actually call OpenAI and getting all of the information that we need. So the next item, before we do anything further, we want to go to our OpenAI website, and basically from there we want to do is generate an API key, and within that API key what we're going to be doing is we want to basically able to have our own key that we're going to be utilizing inside our application, and by having that API key inside our application we'll be able to inject it into this SDK that we have just installed, and once we have installed into our SDK we are able to actually communicate directly with our OpenAPI. So let's see how we can do that. So first things first, let's go back to our OpenAI website. So this is my OpenAI website. What I want us to do here is under personal on the top right hand side. If you click on it, you're going to be able to see that you have something called the view API keys. I'm not sure if it's going to be, it's visible. So once you click on that, you're going to be able to see here that you have the ability to create API keys. So what we need to do is you need to create a new secret, and you need to give it, for example, a name. So we're going to call this, for example, sample app, or sample API integration. And once you do that, you click on create secret, and you're going to be receiving your own key right now. So what you want to do is you want to copy this, and once you copy it, we need to go back to our Visual Studio Code, and inside our Visual Studio Code we want to go to our app settings, and we need to add it here. So inside our app settings, what we need to do is we need to create a new section, and we're going to call this OpenAI, and inside our OpenAI we're going to create our secret section. So here we're going to add key, and we're going to pass the key that we have just created. So once we do all of that, now basically what we did is we have integrated our OpenAI key into our application, or basically we saved it there. The next step is we're going to be able to see how we can inject this key inside our application itself, and we're going to be seeing how we can utilize dependency injection so it will be available for us anywhere we want inside our application. Once we do all of that and we have our application ready and set with this API key, we're going to be basically creating our OpenAI service. So right now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to create a new folder. And this folder, we're going to be calling it configurations. And inside the configuration here, I'm going to create a new class. And this class, I can call it, in this case, let's call it OpenAI.cs. Okay, so first things first, we want to add our namespace. And we're gonna call this OpenAI app.configurations. Then we're gonna create a public class OpenAI. Let's call it OpenAI config rather than just OpenAI. And all I'm gonna be doing here is I'm just gonna create the key. So that's the prop. And it's going to be of type string, and it's going to be, key. Okay, and I'm just going to change the name of this class. Perfect. So now that I have done that, the next step is inside my program.cs. Basically what I want to do here is I want to be able to inject this code that I currently have, or basically the code that exists within my app settings, into a injectable service, which is going to be allowing me to tap into this information from anywhere inside my application with dependency injection. So inside my program.cs, what I want to do is I want to add one simple line which allows me to do that. It's going to be builder.configure services.configure, and then here I'm going to pass the class name, which is going to be OpenAI config. We need to fix these references, so let's fix it right now. And once we do that, we want to pass where it is, so we're going to put builder.configuration.get section, and we want to pass the section which currently we have inside our app settings, and this section is called OpenAI. So let's copy this and we'll just put it here. So now with this line here is we're basically able to inject or get the information that exists within our API key anywhere that I want inside my controllers, or basically inside my services. Perfect. Now I need to utilize or basically create my services, which can allow me to connect to OpenAI. So inside my root of the application, I'm going to be creating a new folder, and it's going to be called services. And inside my services here, I'm just going to create a new interface, and I'm going to call this OpenAI service.cs. Perfect. Then I need to utilize the namespace. I'm going to put namespace, and it's going to be OpenAI app.services, and it's going to be public interface OpenAI service, and right now we're going to keep it empty. The next step is I want to create a new class, which is going to be OpenAI service.cs. And this OpenAI service is going to, first of all, we need to put the namespace, which is going to be OpenAI app.services. And then what I want to do is I'm going to put a public class OpenAI service, and I'm going to inherit from the OpenAI service. Not inherit, I'm going to implement the interface. So now that I have these two, the first thing is I want to add the first service, and here it's going to be pretty straightforward, and it's going to put task string, And I'm just going to utilize the completion of the sentence mechanism. And basically within OpenAI, there's a functionality that we can actually utilize. It's just completing the sentence. So basically what we do is we provide it with a sentence, and once that we send it up, the AI will basically return to us the best answer that it might think it's suitable. So that's a very simple thing that we can actually implement. So let's see how we can utilize this. So inside my interface, I'm just going to call this complete sentence, and I want to pass the text for my original sentence, so I can put a string. I'm just going to put text. Perfect. So now inside my OpenAI here, I'm just going to do an implementation. And first of all, I'm going to make this async. And before we do any further, what I want to do right now is I want to inject my key, which is I stored inside my app settings, into my application by basically utilizing the dependency injection. That's why we had to add it into our program.cs, so it will be available for us. So let's see how we can actually add this. So inside my service, I'm just going to create a constructor. And before we do that, all I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to put private read only OpenAI config. I'm going to call it underscore OpenAI config. And inside my, okay, let's fix this reference. Inside my constructor here, I'm just going to basically utilize the I options monitor, and I'm gonna pass the OpenAI config. Let's fix this. Perfect. And I'm just gonna call this my options monitor. Perfect. Now what I want to do here is inside my constructor, all I'm gonna put is underscore OpenAI config equal to options monitor dot current value. And now with that, I'm able to actually access all of my information that I need from there, so I can directly get access to the key. Next is I want to update this, and we're gonna first of all have to create an API instance, which is gonna be our OpenAI instance, and it's gonna be var API equal new OpenAI API dot OpenAI API, and all I'm gonna do here is just pass my configuration, which is OpenAI config dot key. Oops. And the next step is what I want to do is I want to basically call my completion service. So I'm going to call it result equal await API dot completions dot get completion, and I'm going to pass the text. And what I want to do simply is just return the result. Quite simple here, quite straightforward. So all we did here is basically injected my key into my constructor, and then once I did all of that, I was able to actually call my API and just pass that key. It's simple, it's 3 lines of code, and I was able to actually have a full completion service ready. So the next step is I want to inject this into my program.cs, and then I want to basically create a controller which is going to allow me to actually utilize this. So let's see how we can do that. So inside my program.cs, what I want to do is before we actually build it, so maybe here on line 12, I'm just going to put builder.add.services dot add scoped, and here I'm going to pass the services, which is going to be I open AI service, and it's going to be open AI service, and let us fix these references. Perfect. And now that we have that, inside my controllers folder, I'm just going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this OpenAI controller. Call it whatever I want, just cool name.cs. And just so I can make it faster, I'm just going to copy all of this, put it here, and I'm just going to change the name. So Perfect. I don't need this, so let's delete this. Let's fix this, and I don't need this. Okay, great. So now we have my controller ready. What I want to do is I want to inject this service. So first of all, we're gonna put private read only. It's gonna be the OpenAI service. I'm gonna call it OpenAI service. Let's fix this. Let's copy this. Isn't dependency injection the best thing? And then here we just remove this, and we're gonna put underscore OpenAI service equal OpenAI service. Perfect. So now that I have created my OpenAI service, the next step is I wanna basically create my endpoint, and it's gonna be quite simple. I'm gonna put HTTP post. And what I want to do as well here, I want to specify my route for it. So I'm just gonna put route, and I'm gonna call complete sentence. And then all I'm gonna do is gonna put public async task action result, and I'm gonna put complete sentence. And here all I'm gonna pass is the string, which is going to be the sentence that I want to complete. And then all I'm going to do is var result equal await underscore OpenAI service dot complete sentence. We're going to pass the text, and all I'm going to do is basically just return the result. Return okay with the result. Perfect. So now let us run this. So .NET build first. Perfect. Now .NET run. Now let me open this inside my web browser. Oops. Let's take all of this only. And let me open a new tab. It's gonna be /swagger /index.html. And if I zoom in, we can see that this is my endpoint. And if I click on try it out, let's see what text I wanna continue. I can say, for example, 1, 2. Now it should automatically give me 3 as a completion. So let's see. And we can see that it gave me 3. So 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So now we can see it actually is able to connect to the API service, or basically OpenAI. And from there, it was able to send my request and basically receive the response, which is exactly what I want. Now let's give this a bit more a complicated example. See, maybe, let's see, give it an example. So we can say here, who is the best Formula 1 driver? Or we can say the best Formula 1 driver is, let's see who's gonna give us. Lewis Hamilton. Perfect. This is the exact answer I was looking for, and because AI knows its stuff, and basically it says that Lewis Hamilton is always gonna be the best F1 driver, no matter what. Perfect. Now, seriously, let's continue with this and let us add more functionality to it. So, if we go back right now to my application, let's see this right now. Perfect. The next step is I want to add more functionalities, and once I do this here, I want to basically go back to my OpenAI service, and inside my OpenAI service I want to create an advanced OpenAI sentence. And the reason that I want to do that is I want to see how we can actually utilize different models that are available for us in order for me to basically have a different implementation. So right now, out of the box, I'm utilizing the default model that currently exists within this API. But if, let's say, I want to have a certain user scenario that I want to shift to a different model, let's see how we can do that. So inside my interface, I'm just going to create a task string complete, let's say, sentence advance, and we can put string text. And now if I go back to my OpenAI service, it's going to ask me to implement it. So let's implement it right now. Perfect. Let's make this async. And the first thing that I want to do is let me just take this similar to what we did before. Now here inside my result, this is where the work is going to be. So I'm going to put var result equal await API dot completions dot create completion c async. Is it going to be yes, create completion async. Then here inside I'm going to put a new completion request, and then inside my completion request, let's put this on a new line so it will make looks a bit better. So inside my completion request, I'm gonna specify the text that need to be sent for completion. Then we can see here that it's asking us to specify the model, and basically here I'm gonna specify model. It's gonna be model dot query text. So that's another model which is available. Let me just fix this reference. Perfect. And the last thing here is we want to specify the temperature, and I'm just gonna make it for now 0.1, which is a conservative. And then once that's done, all I'm gonna do is just return the result. Perfect. See results. Oh, we need to do the results.completion. And I'm gonna choose the first completion scenario, and I'm gonna get the text. Okay, perfect. So let us do a quick recap. Let me see if I can remove this and just add a reference instead. Yeah. So what did we do here? We basically created a completion rather than actually have to utilize the get completion. And then we passed a completion request. And from here, we just passed the text, similar to what we have done before. But here, it's going to be the difference. We specified the model. So right now, we can see all of these models are available that I can utilize. I just utilize the query text, because it's a refined model for text. And then here I specified the temperature. And the temperature here is gonna play a crucial role. It's gonna be allowing us to see how much this data is gonna be conservative or how much wild it's gonna get. And basically the minimum, the number is gonna be on the conservative side, and the higher the number is gonna be on the basically wild side, that we don't really know what to expect out of this response. So it's always good to start with a very low number and then add up. I think the maximum is going to be 2, so 0.1 to 0.2, etc., etc. So now what we're going to do here is just we're going to call this. And inside my OpenAI controller, I'm just going to update this to advanced, and let us run this again. So I'm going to stop my application, run it again. And I'm going to go back to my web browser, and I'm going to just ask a different question. Of course, the best Formula One driver is going to be Lewis Hamilton. That's something we all agree on. Now we need to ask a different question. And here, what I want to do is let's ask, let's say the biggest, let's say, country in, let's say, America. Let's see, and let's see what's going to give us. Oh, that's not correct. The US is not the biggest country in the world. Okay, let's see. So in the Americas, Canada is going to be the biggest country. Okay, let's try different else. So AI does not always get it right, but let's see how we can do. Let's ask it. Let's see. The best song is, let's see what's the best song considering to this AI. Okay, there's no definitive answer. This question is perfect. see Alan Turing created, let's see what Alan Turing created. The Turing machine, theoretical device that could be used. Perfect, so that's exactly it. So we can see now it's working with different information that we passed to it. So once we have done that, now we're gonna go a step further and we're gonna basically see how we can actually create a chat functionality with the AI. So let's go create a new service, or basically new function inside our service, and we'll see how we can implement this. So back to Visual Studio Code. Inside my OpenAI service, I'm just gonna create a new one, gonna be task string. I'm gonna call have a conversation. I'm gonna put string, or basically let's call it check programming language, and here I'm gonna pass the language, or language. So the goal behind from this service that we want to implement right now is, all I want to do is as simple as just create or asking the AI if this language that I'm providing is a programming language or not. Pretty straightforward, and it's going to be allowing me to basically ask it questions. So I'm going to send it to it like, do you think, for example, C# is a programming language? It's going to return to me yes or no. Do you think English is a programming language? It should have said no. Arabic a programming language should no. Java programming language should say yes, so on and so forth. So let's see how we can create this functionality. So inside my OpenAI service, I need to implement this. And where is it? Here. So first things first, I want to make this async, and I need to remove this. And first of all, I need to have an API instance. So let's just copy this. And then once I have that, I want to specify the var create the chat service equal, I'm gonna put API dot chat dot create conversation, and here basically I'm initializing the conversation with my OpenAI. I'm basically telling the API that here I'm gonna start asking it the questions. And the nice thing about this, I can basically chain them. We're not gonna do the chaining right now, but if you're interested in this, let me know. I will create a video about it later on. But for now, we're just gonna basically question answer without actually having a chain conversation. So after I create the chat, we're gonna basically give it the information that it needs. So I'm gonna put a chat dot append system message, and basically the append system message here, we're gonna give it the context that the API will need to actually think of and give us the answer provided to. So basically inside this context, what I want to do right now is I want to tell the AI that you're gonna basically answer questions only yes or no. You're not gonna give anything extra, and basically you're gonna check if that language that has been provided, or the input that has been provided, is a programming language. So I'm giving it basically the context that it needs to operate in, and based on that, it will be able to work within this specific context. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say, you are a teacher who help new programmers understand coding. Okay, let's change coding to understand things are programming language or not. And we're gonna say, if the user tells you a programming language, respond with yes. If a user tells you something which is not a programming language, respond with no. You will only respond with yes or no. You do not say anything else. Okay, perfect. So now what I did is I created my message, or basically I created the context that I want my API to actually utilize, and you can see within this context it's gonna allow me to actually specify the exact parameter that the AI is gonna be able to respond to. So once I did that, the next step for me, I'm gonna put chat dot append message. Actually, append user input, it's going to be better. And I'm gonna pass the text, which is gonna be here. Basically, I'm gonna ask the question, or basically the programming language. And then once I did all of that, the next step for me, I'm gonna get the response, var response equal chat. Actually, I'm gonna make it await chat dot get response from chat. This is this one, yeah, from chatbot async. And lastly, I'm gonna return the response. And now if I go back here, let us just, why it's not happy? Oh, we did not add a semicolon at the end. Okay, now inside my controllers, I'm just gonna copy this. I'm gonna call this ask a question. Let's copy this. And this is gonna be check programming language, and let's stop this and run it again. So .NET run. And if I go back to my web browser, let me refresh. Complete, we have ask a question, try it out, Arabic. Perfect. Now if we put Java, yes, say JavaScript. Okay, perfect. If we put, let's say, random string. Okay, so we have hit our limit. So let's just wait for a bit and then we can continue again. But basically we can see it's a hit and miss. Most of the time it's gonna be actually working successfully, but let's give it let's wait until the straight limitation is finished and we can try a bit more sentences. So because we are using the free trial of our API endpoint, or basically from OpenAI, that's why we're gonna have a rate limitation of how many requests that we can do per minute. So now that our rate limit has been reset, let us try it again and let's give it different types of scenario. Let's try Node.js, for example. Let's put French or different spoken languages, see if it actually works. And I just want to emphasize, in order for you to get your key, make sure you open your account with OpenAI and make sure that you choose your free trial there. Now that we have been said, let us try different examples now. So here what I want to do, let's say I want to put Node.js. Put Node.js, if I click on execute, perfect. If I put, for example, let's say, what other language, TypeScript. Yes, perfect. And if I put the French, I should receive as no. Perfect. So now what we can do here is we can see that it's actually working. Our API endpoint is actually responding. Our communication with OpenAI is actually running correctly. And basically our model is actually returning to us the right information that we need based on our request. So let us do a quick summary of what we have done so far. So first of all, what we did is we have got our API key from OpenAI. So again, if you want to see how that's been done, let's go back to my web browser. And basically through my web browser, if we go to platform.api.com, openai.com, you can create your own account from there. And once you create your own account from there, you are actually able to get access to this API key. Once you create your API key, what we did is after that is we were able to add it into our application. We injected into our dependency injection so we can utilize it inside our services. Then we have created our services. Inside our services, then we basically created two methods. One is going to be for completion. Then we did an advanced completion where we actually utilize different models. And the last one that we have did is basically created a chat functionality with our API where we're actually able to send the question and receive answer. And the nice thing about that, we were able to actually set the context of our questions and the context of our answer that we are expecting to receive. So with that said, this video was basically a quick introduction of how we can actually integrate OpenAI APIs with your .NET application. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. It will really help the channel. As well, if you'd like to support me, please consider supporting me on Patreon or buying me a coffee. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.